Yeah, I want to confess, we are in church. Those tissues are for me, just in case. I asked Rick to bring them up, and so hopefully I won't need them, because we've been shedding a lot of tears this week, and I'm honored to be here. Before I forget, I saw Bruce Mills, who was the former chief of the Public Safety Emergency Management Agency before we consolidated. Bruce, I saw you, but I don't see you now. Where are you? I want to just say thanks for hiring Jaime, because you gave us a prince and you gave us a treasure, and I want to just commend you and thank you for getting that one right and bringing him to us. And thank you, San Angelo, for giving him to us, because he has been a prince. You know, Jaime Padron, who was he? You know, he's a father, a son, a brother, an uncle, a police officer, a friend, a Marine, a servant. But above all else, he was a hero. And you know, let's face it, when we go to these things, everybody's a hero. And I thank God that as I stand before you today, knowing Jaime, not just as an employee number, not just as a name, but knowing him as a human being, because he stood out. In the police department with 2,300 officers, when I got the call at 2-something in the morning, not long after going to sleep, because it has been a trying week for us in organization. And it started on April 5th, 2010, or 2012, at about 1840, with Officer Eric Copeland, who was here. Eric, where are you? Eric, where are you? Eric Copeland. You're here somewhere. Well, Eric Copeland, at about 1840 hours, was involved in a critical incident where he was in the fight for his life. He was in a fight where someone was trying to take his life. And as I stand here, mourning one life, but more mamás celebrando la vida de su hijo, celebrating that life, I'm thankful that this sanctuary is not a foreign place for Jaime Padron and his family. Because your faith, el dolor que usted siente como mamá, yo sé que siendo gran madre, personas de fe me ha dado a mí mucho apoyo. And so our officers have been talking about some of the things going on, and other grieving mothers, and the officers from Austin know what I'm talking about. We're all grieving, and everyone needs a moment to grieve. And always keep that in mind, regardless who that son is. But Eric, I thank God. I know how close you came, and I thank God you're here, and I stand with you and your family. And then by the time we got home that night, I had just gone to sleep, and the call, that phone call rings. And when you're in this business, folks, when you get the call in the middle of the night, it's not Avon calling. It is always bad news. And I was told, Chief, we've had an officer shot. And my first question is always, what's his status? And the response from our watch commander was, he's in serious condition. And I asked, where is he? And he said, who is he and where is he? Told me he was en route to BRAC. So the next thought is calling Mike McDonald, our deputy city manager, Mark Ott, our city manager, Sergeant Vincent, our APA president, and starting to respond. And within 2 minutes, didn't shower, so if I smelled, I apologize. And by the way, you can laugh here. We're here to celebrate. Our mayor tried to, actually was funny. I think I was the only laugh mayor, so I acknowledge that Marine comment. It was outstanding. Now, as I was responding to the scene, I got the call that he didn't make it, that he had been pronounced. And so we responded, and we got there. Now, I was thinking about Jaime, because Jaime stood out. And when I arrived on that scene, and shortly thereafter, Mark Ott arrived, and I forgot I called Rick Chaplain Randall, because let's face it, we know the God Squad's important for us, and they immediately started responding. And I saw him lying there, and I saw his fellow officers. I saw a lot of pain. But with that pain, on Good Friday, as soon as I found out that Jaime and his family were people of faith, the healing immediately began. When Johnny's here somewhere, one of our officers from his shift, we held hands and we prayed. And then Chaplain Rick Randall and I prayed over his body. Mamá no murió solo, murió en el servicio de esta comunidad y murió con personas que lo aman a su hijo. Yo amo a su hijo porque es parte de mi familia. And then the picture started coming to me about what happened. That because of what happened that night, and I don't want to embarrass these guys because they're very humble. We found out that our suspect went into that store. I'm fully convinced that he went in there knowing what he was going to do based on everything I know to this date. And two gentlemen that worked for Walmart that knew Jaime, that worked with Jaime, he wasn't just a uniform to them, he was a face. Without hesitation, after he was struck down by this person, these two gentlemen from Walmart that were the store managers at night immediately took action. They immediately jumped on that suspect. For their thanks, they got a shot fired at them that whizzed right past them. They jumped on that radio. They started calling for help. They started telling Jaime, don't fall asleep, wake up, stay here. And I want to tell you guys that because of you, there is no anger in the hearts of the Austin Police Department. There is pain, there is mourning, but there is hope in knowing that out of this tragedy, we have the silver lining of the two men that are sitting up front that demonstrated what our people know, that despite the community of 10 that will say the same thing anytime a police officer defends themselves, it's never the suspect's fault. It's the police officer's fault. Well, these gentlemen demonstrated to the men and women of the Austin Police Department that we serve a community much greater than the 10 critics. We serve a community of hundreds of thousands. And they jumped in there that night. They put their lives at risk for Jaime, for their co-workers, for the responding officers. And I want to recognize them. Stand up, you two guys. Ladies and gentlemen, come up here so they can see you. Lincoln Lemire and Archie Jordy. That is who we come to work for every day. People like these. So again, thank you, my friends. I told you before, I'm going to tell you again, we're going to honor you in the next week. So be ready because this is just starting for you. So again, thank you and God bless you. And thanks for being the angels at his side and being on his side the entire time. And one more thing about Walmart that I'm going to throw out since they're up here. This morning while I was over here, I've received word that Walmart had delivered a check in the sum of $50,000 to go into trust for Allie and Olivia. And thank you for that, Walmart. And the other thing Walmart did is they delivered a check for $25,000 for the police department. And after consulting with the family, we've decided that we're going to spend those funds on our youth programs, on our Explorer program, because Jaime would have wanted that, and that's in Jaime's honor. So thank you, Walmart. God bless you guys. Thank you again. So let me tell you how I learned about Jaime. When he was first here at APD, my first time here at APD for the first year, I was commuting, and one night I'm coming to the airport, and my wife and our young son, they got there before I got there, and you're trying to deal with a toddler, and you're trying to deal with everything that comes with traveling, right? And so Jaime sees this lady, and she's in a little distressed. So being the servant that he was, he immediately, without hesitation, went up, introduced himself as an Austin police officer, which his uniform was obvious, and not only helped her inside the airport, walked her to the curb and waited with her. And in this tragedy, Matt Baldwin, his buddy from St. Angelo, says, he told me a story about your wife at the airport and your son. And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, what's really interesting is that he was so impressed that you were so appreciative, Chief. And what Jaime didn't understand at the time, I wasn't appreciative because he helped my wife, my son. I was appreciative that he helped a woman who had no idea. And he demonstrated what APD stands for, which is the integrity, the courage, being accountable, the respect, the ethical conduct. That he sat there and demonstrated the heart of a servant. And the funny part of the story is that he introduces himself, and she says, oh, that's interesting. As I drive up, he goes, that's my husband. And then Henry Aguilar, who's another guy that came over through PSM, our former department, and I kind of knew him in L.A. He's trying to be undercover, didn't want anybody to know I know him. And so Jaime starts saying to Tanya, hey, I know this guy from L.A. You guys are from L.A.? And he calls Henry over, and sorry, Henry, but he gave you up. I saw you earlier, and yeah, I know you, Henry. Cookie Monster. And the airport people know what that's about. Won't leave it at that. It was an expensive cookie, right? By the way, we can tell you that story later with his permission. But it's that heart of the servant. That's what made him special. That smile that you see, those pictures weren't just picked to find a picture with a smile on it. I think the only picture you ever find of Jaime Padron without a smile is his Marine Corps picture, right? Because you got to be tough. But he always had that smile. And in visiting with Mama and Papa over the weekends when Soy like Juan, she starts telling me the story. He was so thirsty to serve, right? 2 wars, 2 police departments, laid down his life, that he goes up to his mom, que Dios la bendiga, and if I would have known this, I would have probably fired him for lying to mom. But he says, Mama, I need you to sign this. Well, what's that mean? Who cares? Oh, it's permission to go speak to the military recruiters, just to go talk to him, Mom. Little as she know, it was the enlistment paperwork to go serve in Iraq. But here's what made him really special, is that family was important to him. He had his priorities straight. See, we work to live, we don't live to work. And Jaime understood that. I was walking by earlier in the week by the main, you all know where it is, with Lisa, our court liaison, right? The place where I'm always late to meetings because I stop to talk to the cops and they get all the gossip, because let's face it, nobody gossips more than cops, right? You don't need a teletype, just tell a cop and they'll get all over the state by the end of the day. And Lisa, I shared this with the family, started talking to me. She started crying, as if everybody else has been crying this week. And she says, so I go in there and I hug her and I said, Lisa, what's going on? And she says, I see him in that seat right there in her office. Because he would always come in here with a big smile on his face, and he'd always talk about how much he loved his daughters, how much he loved his parents, and his only regret, his sole and only regret, was that he had to live so far from his mom and dad and his brothers and sisters. And that says a lot about him. And so I'm going to tell you all something that I think I'm going to want you to know. If your life isn't in order, like Jaime's was, if your priorities aren't in order, if you're in a fight for petty reasons with somebody you love, tomorrow may be too late. We know that now. Go out tonight. Make it right. Because I thank God that I've been dealing with a family who loved their son and whose son knew how much they loved him. I mean, this family is as real as it gets, and that is a blessing. He's in heaven right now with all the riches and all the promises that the Bible gives us. But it ain't fair because that man had a heck of a life with the richness on earth. And so the Padron family, you are special. Amy, Olivia, Allie, all of you. You're now part of our family. We're never going to forget you. I've got a little 4-year-old that is going to like 6-year-olds as he gets older, and you might have an intermarriage. Little Matt, Jake, not Matt. And I'll tell you that I look forward to that day. But I got a message for the APD family and for all of you in law enforcement. What makes us special is the vast majority of us are Jaimes. I really believe that American law enforcement is the best on the planet. And the Austin Police Department, I can't say it's the best because I'd be lying, I don't know. But I know they're amongst the best of the best of the best. And after 5 years of leading this organization, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't be prouder of our command staff, of our lieutenants, of our sergeants, of our corporals, but more importantly, of the men and women on the front lines. We wake up every day thinking, what do we need to do for you? And what this has shown us is that we've got 2,300 servants. We have 2,300 members of our department that are not wasting time with anger because they understand what it's about. They understand that what happened Friday is not what this community is all about. They understand that anger is a wasted emotion. They understand that by showing compassion to this family, being here for this family, they're going to gather strength. And I promise you that although we're hurting today and we'll be hurting for weeks and months and we'll never forget Jaime, I promise you that we're going to be a better organization for this, that we're going to be a better city for this. You know, I've cried. You guys seen me. I'm a big crybaby. But you know what? Right now I have strength because I've been dealing with a family of deep faith. And that's what's given me strength. Right now we're moving into celebration mode, into capturing the moment mode, into moving the organization mode, into bringing this community mode together. Don't forget that smile, because what do we always talk about? A smile is a symbol of strength and confidence. Now, if you don't believe that, KITV on Friday night had a telethon, right, for about 2.5 hours. One of our officers answers the phone. The person on the other line says, "This is so-and-so, and I met Officer Padron under less than favorable circumstances." "What was that, sir?" "Well, he arrested me." "Oh, okay." It's kind of like when you write that ticket, you know, that product nobody wants to buy, right? You're just trying to sell it. Well, if you can't sell, those are hard to sell. You can imagine the rest. And he says, "You know, I don't have very much. But Officer Padron treated me with so much respect that I want to give $10 for his girls." And you know, when you get that kind of call, or you get that thank you at the end of a ticket, you know you've done things right. And I thank God that Officer Padron was the kind of officer that got that kind of call, that delivered that kind of service to a blonde lady with her little kid who he had no idea what it was, that had that servant heart. And that's what we strive for. And if you want to honor Jaime Padron, you honor him by taking his servant attitude, keeping it close to your heart, and never going down to the level of the people that want to get you down from up here down to this level. Because when you do that, you succumb, and you dishonor the sacrifice of this officer and his family. Juan, Zoila, Ariana, Olivia, Amy, Johnny, Latinos, right? We're going to keep going here. We'll be here for a while. Joe, little Little John, you know, Big John. We love you guys. You've made me feel like I'm part of your family this week. and we're going to be here for you. Our commitment in our department, when we have a graduation, we have a tradition that we salute our graduates on graduation night. Because the only time that I guess you could say a commissioned officer would salute an officer is at a funeral. And for all of you in here, men and women that have taken on the task of policing in some of the most difficult times where trust of government has historical lows and you don't quit, we salute you at the front end because your commitment speaks volumes as to your hearts. And we're going to continue that tradition because you matter. Police officers matter, firefighters matter, EMS, we matter. Our mayor was up here a few minutes ago. You know what I love about this mayor is that when he talks about public safety being a priority for one of the greatest cities in the country. I mean, we're in the top 10 of everything, including #1 in keeping it weird, right? I think that's how I got hired. Hey, that guy's weird. He's weird enough, we'll hire him. Kind of a strange duck. But this mayor and the members of this council have a commitment to public safety that is not a campaign slogan. It is a philosophy, and it's followed through with action. It's followed through by this community with support, and it's followed through with their presence here today. So thank you, Mayor and Council, City Manager. Thank you for being here. Congressman McCall, I saw he's here somewhere. All the elected officials and chiefs, thank you for being here. But most importantly, you frontline officers. These are not easy, are they? Are these easy? But we're here because it's only our duty. It is our honor to stand in a place together with Jaime Padron. Last thing I want to tell my people is that we're not going to what if this. What if this? You know, what if we hadn't called? What if we ignored that guy that came in? What if I would have been there sooner as the backup officer? That's not what this is about. You see, I'm fully convinced that in this family of servants, right, in this family that raised a son to serve, I believe that at some point, God calls you, right, when your life's work is done. That's why I always try to cut in line a little bit in front of an old ladies. I don't want to call me too soon, all right? At the market, last orange, I'll take that, ma'am. You won't be needing that, all right? It's hard to do in Austin because everybody recognizes me in this crazy town, so. But he paid his price. He paid the toll. He's in a perfect state. So I'm done mourning. I'm starting to celebrate, and it started with you. You too. You gave us hope. You were that silver lining in a very cloudy day. And I want you to think about the timing. This was Good Friday, which is about the most solemn, important days, right? Friday was the day he died on the cross for us. And on Sunday, we were rejoicing because we knew that Jaime was living in the presence of the Lord and with everlasting life. I want to thank the Padron family. I want to thank you, Amy. You almost shot me at the door at 2 a.m. the other night, but that's okay. Don't ever go to Amy's house in the middle of the night. And to the people in the Austin Police Department that loved him the most, and you know who you are, we're here with you. We're standing with you. We feel your pain, and we're not going to be here for just till Friday. We'll be here as long as there's breath in our lungs. Half of you have my cell phone number. You know where to find me. The other half are the crazy people I gave it to when I first got here, not knowing they were crazy, and I hope they'll lose it. But call on us. Thank you for giving us your son. Thank you for raising somebody that really showed how it's supposed to be done. Thank you for giving him such a lifetime of joy and happiness and love. It is great to know that my officer, that our friend, lived a life filled with love and family. Because remember, blood's thicker than water. And this blood in this Padron family is as thick as it comes. You ain't going to cut through it. With a hot knife, you ain't cutting through that. And we stand with you. We honor you. We honor you, girls. We're going to be here for a long time, and we're always a phone call away. Lastly, I really want to thank, again, Walmart. I really want to thank Lincoln and Archie. I really want to thank the Austin Police Spouses Association that immediately stepped up. Ladies and gentlemen, no gender bias. Get those male spouses in. Thank you for stepping up immediately. Pastor Koch, thank you so much for having us. Cook Walden, God bless you. Thank you for everything you do for us. The APA Board of Directors, thank you for opening up the hall to everybody. The Greater Austin Crime Commission that immediately gave us a $10,000 check for Amy and the girls to get them through, or the 100 Club, gave me that check. And then I got 2 more $5,000 checks for the families from the Greater Austin Crime Commission and the 100 Club. Thank you, and to everybody that supports those organizations. But above all else, I want to thank the men and women of the Austin Police Department for showing some tremendous courage, some tremendous class. I always tell you I'm proud of you guys, but I'm more proud than ever today of being your chief. We will get through it. This is just a beginning. And I want to say thank you for letting me lead you. You matter. We will always be there for you, and we'll get through it together. Last word, I promise. Because I have to bring in scripture. I dusted off my Bible. There was a cobweb in there. I'm just joking, Pastor. I'm just joking. Hey, I'm a cop. I can't help myself. But I think there is 2 scriptures that I was praying last night and praying over it. And I'll go to Matthew, which is one of my favorite books in the Bible because it's the New Testament. You know, we're not killing everybody in the New Testament, and it's kind of nice. But it's the New Testament with Jesus. And chapter 5 really speaks to the character and the heart of the man that we're here to celebrate. And it starts at chapter 5. And when he saw the multitudes, he went up on the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and opening his mouth, he began to teach to them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And blessed are the peacekeepers, for they shall be called the sons and daughters of God. And everything I just read applies to Jaime, and it applies to everybody that straps on that gun belt and that badge every day. That's who you all represent. That's what he represented. And the last thing that gives me strength today is knowing that, as the book of John 3:16 tells us, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. He died on Good Friday. Well, he didn't die. He went into eternity, into eternal life on Good Friday. And the resurrection on Sunday assures us that your son's in heaven. God bless you all. Thank you very much.